Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Macarthur. I think this is episode 9, and proudly brought to you by Richardson and Wrench, Mount Anna, Narellan, Fitzpatrick Robinson Accounting Group and Business Advisory Services, Coleman Gregg Lawyers, Wakeling Automotive Group, and Techno Funk Fitness Studios, Narellan and Campbelltown. Banking and finance is an industry under constant scrutiny, regulation, and review. And after the Banking Royal Commission and its recommendations, the industry has taken a hit in trust, loyalty, and reputation. Today's guest breaks the mould of the perception of what a bank and banker is really all about. An outstanding resume in the corporate sector, courage for providing an offering that is different, a real contributor in supporting local communities, and just a good, genuine bloke. Welcome, John Horosko.
Good afternoon, Mark. It's great to be here, and thanks for such a bloody fantastic introduction.
You like that one, mate? That's pretty easy. I've dealt with you before, John, and you are a good, genuine bloke who is really interested in the community around you, and that comes across in your business dealings through the bank. So let's start off with the John Horosko story. We don't need to start from inception, but where were you born?
I was actually born in the old Fairfield Hospital in Sydney West, which funnily enough now is a retirement home, or the site is anyhow. So my wife says that I'm born there, and I can actually she can put me to pasture there as well.
Full cycle. I love it. So with a name like Horosko, family heritage goes back to Europe somewhere, I'm guessing.
Yeah, back in the 1980s, it used to actually be spelt with a Z, so that sort of gives away the Eastern European heritage. So Mum was from Ukraine, and Dad was from Belarus. So they were both refugees from World War II, and they didn't come out on a cruise ship. They came out on a warship. And funnily enough, my mother was pregnant with my brother, who's 10 years older than me. And when they came into port to Sydney, they were actually en route to Vancouver. But they said to her that, sorry, you can't have babies on the Pacific Ocean. So we actually stayed here in Sydney.
Wow, long stopover.
Wow, absolutely. But I think the weather's much better here in Sydney than over in Vancouver.
So once you finished all your schooling and that sort of stuff, growing up in the Fairfield area, what was your first job? What was off the first tick for John Horosko?
Actually, I started working before I left school, and I used to work for Perroth Wines, who were based there at South Granville. And my duty was with Perroth. They were all German imported wines, and en route to Australia in those containers, sometimes the labels got a bit chonky from leaking wine, and my job, would you believe, was to scrape off the old labels and actually stick on new ones. So that was interesting.
I thought you were going to tell me it was your job to drink those bottles because they were no good for retail.
Well, look, once I hit 16, it was the old KB lager and a bit of lemonade in there. So yeah, it was interesting, but always been in financial services and loved it.
Yes, I believe your first job was with the old Bank of New South Wales, now Westpac.
Yeah, that's correct. When I left school and did the HSC, I was offered a job with both the Commonwealth Bank and the Bank of New South Wales. And my brother worked for the Commonwealth Bank, and I go, "There's no way in hell I'm going to actually go and work in the same organisation as him."
Fair enough. So, how long were you with the bank for?
I was with Westpac for just over 25 years.
Wow. Yeah, long time. And then from there, you got a little bit of private sector experience.
Yeah, I decided to look at financial planning and work for a couple of organisations there. Didn't like that. Came back to mortgages because I love helping people and get excited about putting people in their homes and their new cars and all that sort of stuff. Worked for a couple of different organisations, and back in 2012, BOQ approached me and said, "Would you like to own a franchise?"
Wow, it's a big move and takes a lot of courage to do that. So one of the questions I've got for you is, what was your actual thought process going from being an employee in a larger organisation like Westpac, Bank New South Wales, to starting your own business?
Really interesting that I've always, and it might sound corny, but I've always wanted to sort of leave a legacy. Working for a large corporate, unfortunately, like some of their customers with the Big Four, you're treated like a number. I always had an ambition to own my own business by a certain age, and I actually beat that by 5 years. So as you know, I've got my eldest son still working for me here, and all the other staff are basically family as well. But I just thought I needed to build something for myself and build a legacy not only for my clients but also my family as well.
So when you went into this process, what sort of support did BOQ provide you as a new franchisee?
BOQ, as you know, there's plenty of franchisors out there, and jumping up and down about, or their franchisees jumping up and down. But BOQ is very supportive, as long as you're doing the right thing by them and the local community. I actually can't fault them at this stage. I've been, in business now for 9 years, and BOQ is very, very supportive. And I'm the local face in Macarthur, and I've got that reputation to uphold, and I need to be the face of BOQ as well.
Yep. So you are 9 years in now.
Yep.
Have you seen the focus on banking changed in this time in the local area?
Yeah, it's all about that community, and a lot of the leaders and the corporate leaders in Macarthur basically understand that you need to give to the community and support the local community, because as you know, Mark, the last 18 months has been a bit of a roundabout and very difficult for a lot of people. And it's just getting out there and supporting people, very, very important.
Yeah, it is. On to current topics. The RBA is held again on the interest rate. What do you see as the effect of this on the property market, lending, and the economy? Well,
without going and saying again, the last 18 months has been very challenging for everyone. But one thing for certain for our locals in Macarthur is that not only the property market in Macarthur, but right across Australia is booming and very, very hot. My team are very passionate about helping Aussies get into their homes, and we're really excited about seeing people and young families getting their keys to their first property. I'm sure going through Richardson and Wrench at Narellan. But again, I'll leave it to the experts. They know all about the economy trends. Peter Monkton's our chief economist, and he spoke about global trends, which was a very interesting read last week. And you've got the ability to jump onto the BOQ website and actually see his podcast.
That's a good idea. I actually might do that. I didn't know they had the podcast up there on the website, which is pretty poor, seeing as I'm a client of BOQ. So how are you seeing, because there is a lot of activity in building activity, certainly in the property market, are you finding now more applications starting to come through?
Yeah, a lot of people that, again, the COVID pandemic, a lot of people are suffering from that. But again, there's a lot of people that are still surviving through that in different industries and different ways. And loan applications are coming through. A lot of people have still got stable jobs that they can get into. And we've got an enormous amount of applications coming through.
Yep. Investor versus owner occupier. Have you seen in the last 18 months or 12 months a swing more back to investors getting involved in the property market through applications?
Well, look, all of us are trying to help our customers find the right home loan for them. It doesn't matter if it's owner occupied or investors. BOQ is very much, we provide competitive rates. Again, and each loan and each application is individual, so it depends on what the customers are looking for and what they want to achieve. We've got some great offers out there at the moment. Our turnaround times are very good compared to a lot of the banks at the moment. I guess the main reason for that is that you're dealing with the lender direct, and the lender's got direct access to all our support areas, either the credit teams or the compliance teams. And we've got a great example where last week we had a client that was looking to do a bit of refinancing and purchasing. They went to another organisation. They couldn't get the answer that they were after. They came to us last Thursday, or the Thursday before, sorry, and they needed, their cooling off was expiring on the following Thursday. So we had 5 working days to go from go to woe. And it's really important that customers provide us with all the supporting documents that we asked for to make it easier. And we actually met that cooling off period. We got the approval, the unconditional approval Thursday morning. We issued them digital documents, and they've signed all their digital documents and all their mortgages by Thursday close of business, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Wow. That is, and in the current status of where I see a lot of applications going through it, that's a fantastic result and obviously a big advantage. And you just saved me asking that question. So well done, John. But yeah, and it's such an important one now, because with the heat in the property market and people needing to move so quickly, to know that the institution that they're banking with or doing the application with can process in good time, and not always going to be just in a 5-day turnaround, but we appreciate that. But to be able to have good communication and to know exactly what they need to provide, when to provide it, so they can get the appropriate result is great to see. There always seems to be a little bit of a mystery for people coming into the market as to when do they start an application? What do they actually need to provide? Where do they sit with a conditional approval to be able to go out and look for buying a property?
It's again, it's an interesting question, and again, it comes down to that trust and that relationship. Most of our applications now are done through what we call our Pocket Banker app, which is an online secure portal where clients actually load in their application form, they digitally sign it. We actually ID them with their license being a selfie ID, which is really interesting when you see that coming through on the form. We basically hold their hand and guide them through, because, as you know, Mark, every application is different, and everyone's circumstances are very, very different. So again, you can jump onto our website again, and there's a really good 8-step approach to buying your first home as well for first home buyers. That sort of guides you through on what they need to provide us as well. Ultimately, every home buyer is different, and again, that's for us to sit down with them individually and go through their circumstances. And again, we're doing a lot of interviews, not only through the Pocket Banker app, but again through Zoom meetings like we're doing today, and also our WebEx, which is a more secure portal as well. Yeah,
nice. The application of technology in these times is so important for businesses to keep that continuity going, and adapting to it is very, very important. So nice to see that BOQ is assisting and providing the avenues through their website, and Pocket Banker is, because that's fairly recent and fairly new, is a great addition to that. So we might just move off the banking for a moment, John. I'm going to ask you a couple of personal ones. I know you've been excited about this, but going through and taking your parents out of it, because mum and dad for a lot of us are an easy inspiration to draw from, because they teach us so much about who the people that we want to be or grow up to be, and follow those ideals. Or so, outside of mum and dad, who has been your greatest inspiration?
Interesting. When I worked for Westpac, I actually worked for a fellow by the name of Bill Patworth, and for those that don't know, Bill's son Brett actually played for the Wallabies, and both Bill and Brett are keen members of the Epping Rugby Union, Eastwood. Rugby Union Club. And Bill Patworth said to me, John, he goes, you make molehills out of mountains, which is absolutely fantastic, not the other way around, which is good. But he said, John, you'll always get knocked down in life. And he goes, the most important thing you have to remember, John, is how many times you get up. Yeah. And that's always stuck in my mind. And then later on down the track, I actually worked for his son, Brett, who was a Wallaby, and met a lot of great sportsmen through that connection. And that really inspires me. And there was another boss that I used to have at Westpac, and he always said to me, John, you'll never be successful. And that makes me more, ready to go and ready to make sure that I actually do prove him wrong. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, he's an inspirational leader, isn't he?
Absolutely.
What's the one thing you wish you knew when you began your career?
Wish I knew. I wish I knew that I should have gone into business myself much earlier than what I did.
Yeah, because it's very rewarding, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's funny, like-minded people tend to surround themselves with like-minded people. And a common theme I find through a lot of my connections is just that genuine sincerity, want to go out and help people. And I love that. And the more of a tight-knit community we can get of people exactly like you, just wanting to genuinely, sincerely to help people is absolutely fantastic. If you were to write a book about yourself, John, what would you call it?
Courageous and stubborn.
Courageous and stubborn. So why the courageous?
Courageous is that I don't mind giving things a go,
Yep.
and I'll never give up.
And stubborn?
And stubborn is because I'm married to my lovely wife. No, stubborn.
But that's her name for you.
No, she calls me a few other things when I'm late, but no, I think that I'm very, I'm like a dog to a bone. If I firmly believe in something, and that doesn't matter if it's in personal life or a loan application, I'll basically take it by the teeth and I'll support those clients and push them through as much as I can. And that again is a great thing to have, that direct relationship and talking to our credit people as well. So yeah, love it.
Excellent. A lot of times companies are invited to get involved in sponsorships and that sort of thing. And I've always had an ideology around sponsorship. If I can't be involved in the sponsorship or with the club or the people in some aspect, I don't put any sponsorship dollars towards it, because I think that's very important. I watch what you've done in the past. What's your theory around that?
Again, I think it comes back to a couple of networking groups that I'm involved with, and I'm a firm believer in givers gain. And again, I firmly believe that it's all about karma as well. And I firmly believe that if you give and you look after people, you'll get that back in return, probably tenfold as well.
Yeah, 100%. If you could step into my shoes as the interviewer, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
Oh, that's a real tricky one, Mark.
I know.
Oh, wow. What question would I ask me? Why would people want a relationship with a bank like Bank of Queensland?
John, why would people want a relationship with a bank like Bank of Queensland?
That's a great question, Mark. Again, you sort of covered it off in the intro about breaking the mould. BOQ or Bank of Queensland is the only bank in Australia that franchises, and the big banks talk about relationships. I've been there for over 25 years. Unfortunately, they're too big. With BOQ Campbelltown, we're a family business. And again, people are really surprised when I tell them to call me. Don't call the 24/7 call centre. Call me if you've got a problem. Call my son, who basically works for me here, if you've got an issue. We actually give a damn. Interesting, I was playing golf a few years ago with an accountancy firm, Mark, and it was when we used to have our tagline of "It's possible to love a bank." And he said to me, "I've got a new catchphrase for you." And I go, "What?" And he goes, for me, it's real. Because again, if I don't look after clients, they won't recommend me to someone else as well. And, I've looked after people where they've referred their cousins referred me to their brothers have referred me to their uncles. And that's the way it all works. And it's all about that relationship. And again, answering the phone and coming back to people, keeping them up to date. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's exactly the same. I just had a meeting with some people doing a market appraisal on their property, and they said, "Oh, when people come through to have a look at the house, who's going to show them the house?" Well, it's me. There's no no sales assistant to help with it and that sort of stuff. There's other people that could do it, but I firmly believe, like you're dealing with me. Your trust and referral in the future is with me. So I've always taken in my career the responsibility. If somebody refers somebody to me, I treat that person as if I'm looking after the original referee. And I think that's very, very important because it impacts on the perception that these people have on them. So,
Correct.
John, I finish every interview with the same 10 questions, which I stole off James Lipton from Inside the Actors Studio. Yep. So if you've heard any of the podcasts, you'll have had a heads up on what they are. But here we go. These are just short, quick ones. All right. Number one, what is your favourite word?
Yes.
Love it. What is your least favourite word?
No.
Figures. What turns you on?
Happiness.
I like that. What turns you off?
Negative people.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you love?
Water.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Makes me want to go to the toilet. What sound or noise do you hate?
Buzzers.
Yeah. For me, it's a ringing phone.
Can't
stand the hearing phone. I love a phone rings, but somebody answer it. What is your favourite curse word?
Never give up.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
A mechanic.
I like that. Somebody that can fix things.
Yep.
What profession would you not like to do?
Gynecologist.
Never had that one. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
About time you got here. We need you.
Excellent. John Horosko, thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And everybody, contact BOQ in Campbelltown. They are in the heart of your community, and John and his team do an absolutely fantastic job. Thank you very much for your time today, John.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.